I'm playing, tracking some songs with, and rating all of the BFD Player expansions right here. Which ones made the grade in my opinion and which ones are most useful? Let's find out. BFD Player is a relatively new acoustic drum sample plugin, and it's a lot like BFD3's little brother. BFD3 is an older drum sample application, but it's still regarded as one of the absolute best drum apps for realistic drum sounds. The core library of BFD Player is completely free. These are expansions for the BFD Player. These are basically pared down versions of the original BFD3 libraries that they come from. BFD Player Pop Essentials. Check this out. This is called Dead Funky. Pop Essentials, this is a very useful expansion. It's derived from the core BFD3 stock library, and while that stock library is good, it's a lot like Superior Drummer 3 and Easy Drummer 3 in that the expansion packs released after the initial core library really went above and beyond in quality. Still, this is one versatile pack, and I'm giving it a solid A. And keep in mind that all of these BFD Player expansions have rim hits for the snares, toms, and everything. They have several layers of openness for the hi-hats as well. Hard squeeze. All right, so you got plenty of layers to work with. Most BFD libraries have incredible depth of sampling, a lot of layers. Preset the descent. So with BFD Player, you got a pared down version of the mixer options in BFD3, but you got the key ones. You got attack and sustain. You can widen your stereo image, lo-fi, echo. Different expansions will have different options up here and down here in the mixer. Americana brushes. It's a brushes pack, and for many people, it will only come in handy on special occasions. But with that being said, it's a solid brush pack, and it's from the BFD3 horsepower expansion, which was played on a Gretsch USA custom kit. I'm giving this one a C because while it sounds like a very capable brush pack, I just don't personally use brushes too often. Metal Essentials. This one comes from the BFD3 library called Oblivion. To my ears, it's excellent for the type of metal drums it can provide, but it isn't going to compete with a full-featured metal drum library like Extension Level Event 2, ML drums with all the expansions, Hertz drums, etc. On the other hand, if the sound of this pack suits your style, it's perfect and costs a fraction of those other libraries. For the cost and value of the pack, I'm giving it a B+. Dark coppered. BFD3's latest expansion, Dark Farm, is the basis for this pack, and it just has a nice full sound to it that I really liked immediately. It's recorded at the legendary Middle Farm Studios in the UK. I'm giving it a solid A. One cool thing about most of these is they have baked in effect channels that you can mix in and out. Ambient bus, you got built-in parallel compression you can work in. You got a cave room here you can work in and out. So you got echo built in. So a lot of options you can work in with the mixer that's built in. Of course, you can adjust individual pieces as well. So what we have here is the Jazz Sticks expansion. Jazz Sticks. Based on the BFD3 expansion Jazz Noir, this is a solid jazz kit that can also double to provide lo-fi grooves for hip-hop and other electronic genres. And it's got a nice roomy sound. I'm giving this one a B. Very cracky snare. A lot of ring to it. You can adjust that with the presets. 2 toms. And here's the original mix to that, since I think the strength of BFD Player will be in the raw drum sounds realism that you can achieve, especially if you want to multi these out and process all of these pieces yourself in your DAW, which of course you can do with BFD Player. And you know, with all of these, by the way, you do have rim articulations for all your toms. Americana sticks. Like Americana brushes, this pack comes from the BFD3 expansion called Horsepower. Personally, I like the original mix preset best, as most of the presets were fine, but none really jumped out at me. With the original mix presets of all of these, you got the pure drum sound with no processing, so you can take that great BFD quality and do what you want with it. C+ for this. We've got a Gretsch USA custom snare on here and a Gretsch kit. Definitely a punchy sounding snare. Let's try out the original mix that you would use if you wanted to part this out, multi it out, process these yourself. Wow, a lot different than the Beardy. So a lot more pure sounding. You can process this yourself. And so if you do want to process these in the box, you have a few options. Each preset actually gives you different primary knobs up here. So for original mix, you got a sustain, an attack, and a sustain knob, mono, wide, snare tuning, and ambience. Of course, you got a pretty lengthy list of channels you can adjust. And these all tend to change depending on what your preset is and the library that you use. For instance here, we've got a room and an ambient bus. We'll solo this out. So that's sort of an ambient bus here, and then a side kit, which is usually maybe a mono mic that's to the left or right of the kit, or that's what I assume this would be. And of course you got your overheads, your room mics and everything else, as well as your individual pieces. It's called Bird's Eye View. It says it packs a punch and great for alt country. And so as you can tell here, with this preset, our options have changed. That is now a room knob and then a vintage and modern knob up here. Vintage makes the sound darker and less hi-fi. Modern does the obvious. So we're probably talking about like an EQ with that knob there. But you also have different options down here. You got the side kit like you had before, and ambient bus and room, but you have kit reverb and overhead kit channels. So the kit reverb by itself sounds like that's just on the shelves. Jazz brushes, just like Americana brushes. This will suit all of you jazz fans and brush fans alike. Okay, we're going to start off with Clarity brushes. Only downside is there are no sweep articulations, which for you non-drummers, a sweep is where you take the brush and you drag it on the snare head in a rubbing circular motion, which is something that some drummers do when using brushes for quieter songs. Still going to give this a B+ because of the sound is excellent. I think with certain slow songs, these can definitely be a valuable resource to have. Easy listening brushes. This has a lot of character, it says, and crunch or distortion. Here's the original mix for jazz brushes. London 70s. What can I say? I'm a big fan and a big mark for classic rock, and I love any library that offers something that tries to get close to a Bonham drum sound. This pack is a Ludwig Vistalite kit with a Superphonic 402 snare. The included grooves are based on classic rock songs like When the Levee Breaks from Led Zeppelin. You know, they got some Blue Oyster Cult stuff in it, Black Sabbath's Iron Man, among others. Presets with this pack are made for each of those songs too. You can't help but have fun with this preset. I think they sound pretty cool, and I love this genre, so I'm going to give this one a big S rating. Dark Mahogany is a solid kit. This is one of the first 2 expansions released with London 70s, and it's a great solid kit. I'm giving it a B because it's right down the middle. I like it. It's a nice full sound. I think you'll like it too. You're playing these on eDrums, it does have quite a few presets for eDrum kits and modules, but it doesn't have everything. There is, as of yet, no MIDI learn function, meaning you can't press a button to say, I want the ride symbol to be hit by this pad, and then it saves it. Does not have that yet. I hope they will incorporate that pretty soon, though. I'm sure they will. And keep in mind that I do not typically use built-in MIDI groups. But each one of these expansions comes with a bounty of genre-specific grooves that you can drag down into the new pattern builder section. You can search and sort for your grooves by field, BPM focus, and a lot more as you build your library of BFD Player grooves. They're played by real humans and are very useful for non-drummers. I just don't typically use them. Now, my overall take on BFD Player expansions is this. They have a great pedigree coming from BFD 3 expansions. The pre-mixed presets are hit and miss for me personally, but I invite you to check them out on their website because I guarantee that you will have a different opinion on some of these than I do. If you like to stick to the raw, unprocessed sounds from drum libraries and then route each individual drum piece to your DAW for your own processing, you can't go wrong with any of these BFD Player expansions. They're all good quality. Now, my next video is another mega compilation of free drum plugins, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so that you won't miss it. And if you've watched this far, you and I and Uggs are drum buds for life, and we hope to see you next time.